Hi, hello, welcome. We're just going to give folks a few more minutes to slip in, but hi, welcome to the newly revamped Solo Fridays. Um, yeah, I decided Wednesdays just wasn't working anymore, so we're going to do this on Fridays now. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for making the switch if you were watching on Wednesdays. It's we're gonna play a fun one tonight. I switched it up a little bit. I had originally had a couple of short journaling games that I was going to play, but given that it is International Women's Day in the midst of International Women's Month, it seemed appropriate to play something else, and so we're going to play Bumbling by Yvris Burke, which is a delightful little game about being a young bumblebee learning the dance language of your hive so that you can go and find honey and direct other bees to where you found it. But we'll get to that in a second, and I have a new camera set up that I'm interested to try out and see how it works. In the past, when I did mapping games, I would have to map on a pad of paper and then hold it up to the camera to show what I was doing. But now I have a second camera, which I've actually had a very... no, this would be my first time playing through it. I've read it through a bunch since deciding to play it, though. So now with the new camera set up, I'm able to actually point the second camera down at the table. I have a dry erase hex map to draw on, and so we'll see how that works. I may have to still fiddle with it a little bit more, but I think it's going to be a lot more interesting to look at than just me talking and then holding things up to the camera. Even if I do have to fix some things later on. Welcome. So part of the reason that I do these streams is to raise funds for... actually, I mentioned Yvris's name and didn't put her link in the chat, so we do that right now. That should work. There we go. Buttonkin is the name of Yvris's publishing company, so you can follow them on Twitter and check out all of Buttonkin's work on itch, and including Bumbling, which if you want to pick up, you can definitely grab it any point you like from Yvris's page, but I would also recommend, because it is part of the Solo But Not Alone, can't remember if Solo 4, yep, there we go. Because it's part of the Solo But Not Alone 4 bundle, which is only going on for another 5 hours. So if you haven't picked up a copy of that yet, I highly recommend grabbing it. Those of you who see this as a VOD on YouTube later on, sorry you're out of luck, but if you are watching this on YouTube later, please go to the Buttonkin itch page and pick up a copy of Bumbling that way. But if you're watching this on the live stream, I highly recommend heading over there as quickly as possible and picking up the Solo But Not Alone 4 bundle, raising money for TakeThis.org. They are online to set to raise the most money they've ever raised in a year for that bundle. This is the 4th year it's been in place. They've been raising the goal constantly throughout the entire thing. It starts off at $1,000 goal every year, and then Kat, who organizes it, bumps that up every time it gets surpassed. Currently, they're at $37,000. I'm just going to confirm that. But yes, the last goal was $30,000. They're now at $37,718.61. The whole bundle is only $10, and it's 124 different games. There's 125 items in the bundle, but one of those items is really super handy for a bundle this size. It is a spreadsheet listing all of the games and breaking out their genres and like just all of, everything you would want to know about the game, what type of game it is. Is it a journaling game, a mapping game, that sort of thing. The genre, if there's any content warnings. So if there's anything that is going to be upsetting to you, you can quickly check and make sure that it's not in that game. That's something that Kat puts together for all of the bundles, and it is super appreciated because it can be really overwhelming. I mean, I love supporting charity bundles. I love supporting like creator bundles on Itch. I think it's a great feature of the site, but it can be overwhelming when you buy a bundle with 100, 200 games in it, and then having to go through and find games or explore. I mean, I do enjoy just sort of like thumbing through the bundle and seeing what's there, but it is also nice for something like this where you just want to maybe sit down and find a game. And you don't want to have to hunt through 124 different games. It's nice to have the spreadsheet to be able to just find that information, just find the game, find what you're in the mood for, and run with it. And yeah, like I said, Bumbling is part of that. You can absolutely get it in that bundle. If you miss the bundle, there is another one, as Sanguine says. There's another one. Kat does it every year. As far as I know, Kat has no plans to stop doing it. That's my friend Kat McDonald. I actually talked to them several months ago. A month ago. You can actually find that on YouTube on my channel. I posted the VOD there, so if you missed that, where we talk all about Solo But Not Alone 4 and solo games in particular. And yeah, it was a good conversation. Talking with Kat is always a fun time. Okay. Well, I think we're going to jump into the game now. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit. Oh, sorry. Really quick, I got sidetracked. So, yes, the primary reason that I do these evenings is because I love solo TTRPGs, and I want to talk about them and play them and feature them and show them off to people, and hopefully get more people playing them. Because the creators in the solo TTRPG space are doing some of the, I think anyway, are doing some of the most interesting work that I'm seeing out there. There is something fascinating that happens when you have to distill a tabletop role-playing game down to target one person, that I think is really exciting as far as like game design goes. And also just, in the wake of isolating for the pandemic and all the rest of it, I just got hugely into solo games, and yeah, they're just fantastic. I can't say enough good things about them. So I wanted to feature that, but also every year I raise money for Extra Life, So part of the wanted to do this as part of my fundraising efforts for that. So I put a link in chat. If you were interested in doing so, you can go to my Extra Life page and make a donation. It is absolutely not required. You can just hang out here and enjoy watching stuff. But if you have a few bucks and you can throw it that way, it's greatly appreciated. I have set myself a very ambitious goal of $2,000 for this year. Hopefully I can get close to that. That would be absolutely fantastic. We'll keep doing these every Friday and see how that works out. The other thing that I'm going to be doing for the rest of the year, because I also want to raise money, help raise money for the Palestine Children's Relief Fund. So what I'm going to be doing is every quarter I'm going to be matching the donations that I've received in that quarter. So by quarter, I mean like every 3 months of the year. I work for in administration and bureaucracy, and I sometimes forget that not everybody understands exactly what I mean when I say a quarter. So, but every 3 months, I'm going to total up all the donations that I've received to Extra Life in that period of time. And make a matching donation to Palestine Children's Relief Fund. So your donations will go extra far and help children where they need help the most. And if I receive no donations in a particular quarter, which I hope doesn't happen, I will still make a donation to the Palestine Children's Relief Fund. How much that will be is yet to be determined, but it will be substantial. It will essentially be what I hope I would have gotten during that period. I'm looking to, so if I raise $2,000 for Extra Life by the end of the year, then I will also make a $2,000 donation to Palestine Children's Relief. Yeah. So that's how you can help both of those things. I may be moving off of Twitch in the future and streaming live on YouTube. That is the thing that might happen. So while I am grateful to those of you who have made Twitch subscriptions, I would ask you to hold off on that. If you really want to make a donation, if you go to my website, there'll be a link to my Ko-fi page. If you just want to make like the however much a subscription costs on here, donation there, that would be greatly appreciated. All of that money goes towards me basically like buying solo games because I don't get any of these games for free. I believe in supporting the creators that I'm talking about, so I buy the games all the time. And yeah, the money goes to help out with that. But I would hold off subscribing or renewing your subscription here for now. Probably the best thing to do until I get settled or decide whether I'm going or not. Anyway, that is a bunch of housekeepery stuff out of the way. And thankfully, we're going to get into the fun stuff as soon as I have a drink of water. Okay. A little water drinking ASMR, if that is your thing. And we're going to switch over to the new camera setup. Actually, hold on. So for those of you unfamiliar with Bumbling, Bumbling is a solo RPG I'll read the little description here. You're a newborn worker bee helping to fill their hive with honey. You'll learn your hive's secret dance language, explore the world, make animal friends, and harvest pollen for your queen. Great for solo journaling and doodling. This is a sweet, relaxing game to play on a rainy afternoon. It's not exactly a rainy afternoon. In fact, it is a sort of warm and melty evening here on the Canadian prairies. Today was actually our first day above 0 degrees in like 3 weeks. So just a lot of stuff melting. It's getting pretty sloppy out there. But still, glad to be inside playing solo games. To play this game, let's switch over to the new camera. Hey, welcome. Yeah, no problem at all. I realize every time I play like a solo game by a UK or European creator, it's like chances are very good unless they're like a complete night owl, they are not going to be in chat. But I appreciate you coming by. I hope you are also going to get some sleep. But you can tell Yvris how it went in the morning or later in the morning. All right. I'm just consulting my tablet here. All right, so getting started for the game. This is the new camera setup so that I can actually like play the game in front of you. Yeah, still working out the bugs, but I hope you can at least sort of see what's going on there. So, what you need to start playing the game. Your favorite drawing implement, pencil, pen, or crayons. In this case, I'm going to use some whiteboard markers that I have. So I've got those there. 6-sided die, aka 1d6. Got it. I've actually got 2, but we'll get rid of some clutter. A hex sheet for your map. I've got this. This is an old, what is it? It's a flip map from Steel Squire. I don't even know if that company is still around, but I got it back when I started playing Pathfinder back in to the early aughts. And it's one of those things that because Pathfinder was like based on a 1-inch square grid, I never actually used this side of the map a great deal. So it looks in pristine condition because it is. I've never used it. The other side of this thing looks beat all to hell. But this side looks pretty good. So this is what I'm going to be drawing on today. Hopefully it's big enough that you can sort of see what I'm doing. I do not vouch for my artist skills. I will do the best I can, but yeah. A smaller hex sheet with 180 hexes. I don't have that. I mean, I think somewhere in my gaming room I do actually have like smaller sheets of hex paper. But for my purposes, I'm just going to use some graph paper. I think that'll work just fine. So these can be considered cubist bees, at least partially. Yeah, so the very first thing that you're supposed to do in the game is on your larger hex sheet, you pick a hex near the middle. So I've sort of done that. You can sort of see the black marker in my set is all worn out, so blue is the next best option. So that's sort of what I opted for. So this is the hive, that little blue thing that you see in the center of the table there. And around that, I'm supposed to put 6 hexes, one of each landmark type. And the 6 landmarks in the game are water, trees, farm, building, hill, and flat. So I'm just going to quickly draw some stuff in the 6 hexes. It does give some suggestions on what to do, so I'm probably going to follow very close to that to start with. And of course, if you're playing, you can draw them any way you want, really. So the first one I'm going to draw is just flat, I think. And this is just going to be like grassland. Yeah. There we go. That's a little faint, but I think you should be able to see it pretty well. The next one is going to be like hills. So let's just go like that. And just sort of dot them in. Yeah, there we go. The next one is a house. So let's do, let's use the red marker because I think that'll stand out a little bit from what I've, oh, thanks, that's good to know. I may get, I know somewhere I have paper hex, like white paper hex paper. And so I could get that laminated and use that, and that would probably show up a little brighter. But I'm hoping that this will work for now. So we'll just draw a house and I mean, that's not bad considering that I haven't, drawn a house in like, there we go, put a window on the side. So that's going to be buildings. Sorry, the tablet closed itself. Farm, we'll use like a couple of different. There we go. That's the fence. And then just really quickly we'll just draw. All right. That's farmland. Trees. There we go. I live in like Canada, so I'm just going to put like spruce trees. And well, let's give them little trunks. There we go. And a swamp. So this is water. So this is just going to be like, I don't know. That's not really showing up that well. Then the green is a little faded. Let's put it, there we go. And then we can just sort of decorate around it. So this is a pond of some kind. You can see that there. Yeah, so that represents the 6 different terrain types in the game. This is any flatland, so that can be like, basically any plains or flat area that doesn't have a lot of other features. Hills, buildings, and this is any type of building, not just the awful looking house that I've in. This is farmland, trees, and water. So that could be ponds, rivers, lakes, ocean if we want to put ourselves on the coast. Yeah. Thank you for the follow. Sorry, I missed that. The love 56T. I appreciate the follow. That is very, very kind of you. Welcome. We are playing Bumble by Yvris Burke, and we are just getting started, so you came in at the perfect time. And then right in the center. Oh, and thank you, Yvris Plays, for the follow. That is very kind of you. And right in the center of those 6 terrain types is our hive, in which my little bee is just waking up, potentially on their first day as a bee, the newest worker bee in the hive. And in fact, it says, welcome, you the newest worker bee in the hive. You just woke up, your head is fuzzy as your body, and your siblings are beckoning for you to join them. You follow them, and they lead you through to the heart of the hive, that dance floor. Because what would a hive be without the dance floor? Literally, if you know anything about bees. The world is new and strange. You don't know your own name yet, but you think you might know a bit about dancing. And so it goes on to say that you watch your hive mates make their way to the center of the chamber and begin to move. They do a short routine for you, a hop, a butt wiggle, and a wing waggle. Instinctively, you know that this bee buddy isn't just moving at random. More than that, you know exactly what each move means. These are directions to find another thing you know about: flowers. Pick 3 options from the landmarks table to decide which is a hop, which is a butt wiggle, and which is a wing waggle. Then draw these places onto your map in a line, starting with a hex adjacent to your hive. Add some flowers to the final hex. You've just been given directions to your first pollen stash. Okay, so I am, in lieu of making a choice, because why would I ever do that when I have dice available? I am going to roll on the handy landmark and see which one. So basically, draw them in a straight line, starting with one of the hexes adjacent, and it's a 1, so water. So the first one is water. That is going to be, what was the first option? First dance move was there we go. Hop, butt wiggle, wing waggle. So a hop means water. When a bee hops, that's water. And then the next one is going to be a butt wiggle. And that's going to be flat. So going to draw really quickly here. I think we'll, for the interest of keeping things sort of in your view rather than going up and out of the camera area, I'm going to put some more flat here. So butt wiggle equals flat. Hop is water. Butt wiggle equals flatland. And last but not least, that is going to be farm. So wing waggle equals farm. So think chickens are on a farm, chicken wing, wing waggle equals farm. And keeping that in a straight line, I'm just going to draw. There we go. And all right. So that is more farmland, and that makes sense. There's flowers there. I didn't really leave myself space to do flowers, so I'm just going to mark it with an F at the top. There we go. Maybe an F at the bottom as well. F is for flower. All right. And so if I need an additional thing of pollen, that is where I can go. All right. So once you've done that, that is all game set up. You are now ready to play. As it says, once you've watched your first dance and learned some moves, it's time to put the work in worker bee. Time to start finding flowers and filling up your hive with pollen. You have 3 activities which will help you do this: learning, dancing, and searching. You can perform these actions in any order and any number of times. If you like, you can journal your activities and document your bee's story. For the purposes of tonight, I'm just going to play and map along. So if you are, but if you want to journal that sort of thing, you're more than welcome to do so. I think that would be a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm just going to use my, I've seen some new people have popped in. Hi, my name is Brent, otherwise known as Dorklord Canada, and this is my Solo Fridays, and I am playing Bumbling, solo RPG by Yvris Burke. And you can sort of see on the top-down view here, this is the hex map. These are the things that I know are around. So in the center here is the hive. And then we have some flatlands, some hills, some buildings, a house or something like that, farmland, trees, and water. In this case, a pond. And then we've also got some flatland and some more farmland. And it's been marked with an F because it has flowers. And now you know as much as I do about what is about to happen. So there are 3 actions, as I said, that you can perform. You can perform them any number of times: learning, dancing, and searching. So learning, hang out near the dance floor to watch another bee dance and learn more moves. Roll to pick 3 moves from the random moves table. This is the dance you see. Give any new moves to an unassigned landmark. You may get 3 different moves or 3 of the same. It's luck of the draw. You should write the moves you learned down so you can check them later after you dance. So I may do that first, but let's read the other 2 so you understand like my options and what we're going to be doing here. Dancing. Perform or draw a bee dance to direct your hive to some flowers on your map. Don't cheat and look at any moves you wrote down while you dance or draw, but check your directions afterwards to see if you got it right. If your directions are correct, roll 1d6 to find out how many other bees saw you. Those bees will find your flowers and add some honey to your cells. See finding flowers to find out how many. And then questing. Go out to find or fetch pollen to fill up the cells in your hive. Follow the path you know leads to some flowers, or strike out on your own and discover new territory. If you reach an empty hex, then roll on the landmark table and draw your new discovery on your map. Then roll again. If you get a 6 on your second roll, you find flowers in the new area. Draw those in too. Now you can gather pollen to take back to the hive. See finding flowers for more details. Some places are home to creatures which can give you directions to flowers in exchange for gifts. Some contain creatures which will chase you away, never to return. Check finding friends for more details, and be careful out there. You can just assume that anytime the word bee is used in this, it is a pun on bees. And if it isn't, it is, because I make puns all the time. So, yeah, so I think I'm going to... I mean, I think I'm going to learn a new dance. I think I want to learn. So, learning. Take a D6. There is a handy moves chart at the back. Now, we've just assigned 3 dance moves to 3 different terrain types. So for those of you that might have missed that little part, a hop equals water. So a hop equals water. A butt wiggle equals flatland. And wing waggle equals farmland, which has flowers on it. So in learning this, I think the idea is that I basically, that is very cool. I do like the, I do think this is something that like kids could, especially grades 1 to 5 could really get into and have a lot of fun with. So if I roll one of those on the chart, we know what that type of terrain is. If I roll something else, because there are other options here, hop, butt wiggle, and wing waggle are actually just 1 through 3 on the chart. There is also foot stamp, spin, and roll. And if I roll one of those, we'll have to figure out what terrain type that's going to go with. So, what have I got? And immediately I roll something that isn't on there. So 5 is spin. So spin. Spin, I think, has to be trees. Yeah, spin is going to be trees. 4, foot stamp, another one that I haven't done before. So spin is going to be trees. Foot stamp is going to be, let's say foot stamp is houses. And then so by process of elimination, roll is hills, which I guess makes sense. Rolling hills is the thing. So that's an easy way to remember that. Okay. Hopefully I remember that. So the new dance that I learned is spin, foot stamp, spin. So trees building trees. Okay. All right. I'm going to go, I think now I'm going to go questing. I've gotten all warmed up dancing. Pretty sure I know what I'm doing. So I think I'm going to follow. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to like stop at every hex and do something. But let's just go here. Yeah, you only roll for new hexes. So basically, I'm just going to leave. I'm going to follow the path that I was given. I think this is a good time. So I leave the hive and I go. Let's use a marker of some kind. Luckily, I think I have just the things. This is why, if you are planning to play... Yes. Yeah, you roll to see if I was just checking to see if if we're moving through hexes, if we have to do anything. But I think it's just you roll for friends. You roll for finding friends. So, all right. So I have this little... That is my new bumblebee. So yeah, we're going to follow the dance that we first learned at the beginning, just to go and see some flowers. So we go to the water hex. And then we find a friend. So we roll a d6. Oh, cool. On a 5 or a 6, yeah. Some landmarks you find while questing will house creatures who might know the location of some flowers. Some are tame, some are wild. It depends on the landmark. See the landmark section. If you find one of these animals, you can try to persuade them to tell you what they know. Water is wild, so these are wild animals. If you're journaling your game, you might write out a little scene between you and the creature. I'm not, but we can talk it through because that's just fine as well. So I rolled a 5. On a 5 or a 6, the creature tells you how to find some flowers, and you can pick a neighboring hex to place those in. Well, then I'm going to place a neighboring, just to fill out my map a little bit more, I'm going to place a landmark in one of the blank hexes. 6. Flat. Okay. Well, since this is next to a pond, well, we say that this is like some marshland around the pond. And that's why it's like... It's like a... Yeah, we'll call it marshland. And there are flowers there because my new frog friend told me that there are flowers. So we'll put a big F at the top and bottom for flowers. And yeah, so that's exciting. So and I've made a new frog friend, which is never a bad thing. So I'm going to go there. My frog friend just told me that there are flowers. Flowers is the entire reason I'm out here. So I'm going to go to that hex. Now let's see if there's a new... oh, there are no animals on Flatland, so I don't have to roll for finding friends, but we're going to find flowers because there are flowers there. So I find some like funky looking marsh flowers. And in this case, so basically I find flowers, I fill up on pollen, and I head back to the hive. So then if I had to pass over like blank hexes, it's a straight line path back to the hive because I want to bring the pollen back as quickly as possible. I'm going to count that as like 2 hexes because I'm going basically along and interstices between 2 hexes. But if I was going like through hexes, I would go 1, 2. So we'll count that as 2. And I fly back to the hive with my pollen. Now, when I get there, basically, the further away from the hive the square with the flowers is, the more pollen you were likely to get, simply because very small chance, like if you're discovering flowers that are several hexes away from the hive, chances are good other bees haven't been there before you, and so you're collecting like brand new pollen. So what you're supposed to do is, when you return to the hive, you will fill up a number of cells in your hive equal to 1d6 plus the number of hexes you travel to get back. So in my case, 2. So I'm going to roll my d6. Okay. Well, I am a young bee. Obviously, I'm not very good at this whole thing. So 1 plus 2 is 3. So I'm going to find... I'm going to fill in 3... but now that I'm back, I'm going to do a little dance for my fellow bees and hopefully direct them to go and get some of the pollen that I wasn't able to pick out. So if I'm remembering correctly, because I didn't write it down, the directions, and chat, you can police me on this, make sure I'm doing it right. So there's 2 directions that I could go, but I mean, I think the fun one in this case is just to go over the 2 flatland spaces. So my dance is basically just going to be like a bunch of butt wiggling, because it's the flatland space that they fly over and then the flatland space that has the flowers in it. So it's butt wiggle, butt wiggle. And I remember that is correct. So then what happens is I send them. So now I roll to see how many bees saw my dance and decided to take part. 3 bees. So 3 bees saw my dance. And decided to go and fill up on pollen. So they fly off to the flowers and they add more pollen. So there's the 3 that I've added already. And what you do is you multiply the number of bees who watched your dance by the number of hexes they'll travel to get back to the hive after following your directions. So the same number of hexes that I travel, it'll be 2. So 3 times 2 is 6. So I fill up another 6 hexes on my map, and you have what you're supposed to have off to the side is a little hex map that you will fill in that has basically 180 hexes on it. And if you pick up the PDF of this game and scroll to the back, you will find a map sheet and score sheets. The score sheet is actually broken out into 100, and you probably can't see that on the tiny camera. But anyway, you'll just have to trust me. The score sheet is actually broken out into 180 hex sections. So basically, once you've filled up all the hexes in that, you will. And there's also a map sheet on there for you to draw your own maps. So you can print those off and have fun with that. And that is essentially, I mean, really, that's finding that's bumbling in a nutshell. Sorry, I'm just going to quickly write down my 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and my 3. So I've got 9 out of 180. of my hexes filled. And my goal is to get 180 hexes filled with honey. And so basically you just proceed to like map out, you know, combination of like exploring until you can find exploring, meeting new friends, finding new terrain. Hopefully friends direct you to flowers, and you can get new, that sort of stuff. But that is essentially the game. Like that is in a nutshell. So I'm going to play like a little bit more, just because it's, well, A, because it's fun, and B, just to show off like a little bit more, because there's some stuff we haven't rolled yet. So we'll see. So I'm back in the hive. I think, do I just want to go, well, exploring worked out pretty well for me. But let's go in another direction. So I'm going to go to trees. Trees, forest. Yeah, trees. Ooh, so these would be, yeah, more wild animals. I'm going to say, because this is next to farmland, that it's like an orchard. So let's see what we get on the finding friends. So I'm buzzing around in the orchard. Another 5. So let's see what type of... The great thing is on the landmark chart on here, it actually lists the landmark type. It lists whether the animals that you're likely to encounter in there are wild or tame. So for water and trees, they're wild. For farm and around buildings, they're tame. So that has an effect on how they react to you and sort of what animals you choose to think of when you're encountering them. And then it also gives you examples of the different terrain types. So for instance, for water, it lists lake, pond, well, stream, waterfall, bay. So you're not just limited to the symbols that I've drawn here. You can draw in, if you want to put in like a little stream or a river for water. If you want different trees, I drew in coniferous trees because honestly, they're really easy to draw. But you can make it anything. If you are better at drawing buildings than I am, then by all means, go nuts drawing in some nice little buildings. Yeah. So they have told me where there are new, and because we're in an orchard, what other animals are likely? Oh, you know what? My grandparents had an orchard in British Columbia. We had garter snakes all over the place. So I think this is a garter snake. A garter snake has given me a line on where to get some flowers. And I think it's going to be in, let's fill in the hex directly below there. So what terrain type is that going to be? That's going to be 3 more farmland. Okay, well, that makes sense. Let's quickly draw that in. And then once again, the F's for flowers. I really do want to get like further afield, of course, because the further afield I get, the more pollen that'll come back. So, but for now, I will go to the piece of farmland, and I will try and get some. So I go there, I pick up some pollen, and I head back to the hive. Again, I'm only having to go like 2 hexes to get back. So I will add 2 to whatever I roll. And again, it's a 1. My little bee is really bad at picking up pollen themselves, but is really good at directing other bees to go and get pollen. So once again, that is going to be my next step. So roll to 1, 2 spaces to get back means I add 2 to that. So I'm going to, what do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 10. So that's my 3. And then I'm going to put on a little dance. And I think farms were wing waggle. I believe farms were wing waggle. That is my recollection. So again, like the trees are spin. So I do a spin and a wing waggle to direct the bees through the trees and then to the flowers. And let's see how many bees pay attention to me this time. Hopefully it's more than, it's 3 again. Okay. So that's going to be another 6 because 3 bees go there and then it takes them 2 hexes to get back. You multiply the number of bees by the number of hexes it takes them to fly back, because the assumption is always going to be the bees are going to fly in like a straight line back to the hive. There's nothing more important to a bee than getting the pollen back to the hive. So that's going to be another 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So currently I'm doing these in rows of 10 just to keep the math simple. So currently I have 18 out of 180. I am 1/10 of the way towards my goal, my pollen goal. And becoming quite a dancer is my little bee. I'm glad I'm remembering these correctly because it would be sort of embarrassing if I sent bees out to like not find their way to it. That would be sort of... and the game does ask you to try and like remember the dance moves as opposed to like writing them down and then referencing them as you're doing the thing. So I think that is part of the fun of the game. And I think that would especially be a fun part if you were to sit down with like a child and teach them to play this and sort of, even though it's a solo TTRPG, I think you could sit down with like quite a young child and sort of, I guess for lack of a better term, GM them through this, right? And so you could ask the child to act out, to act out the dance. And so without referencing anything, the child has to remember it's like, okay, well, you got to go through like forest and swamp and then farmland. So show me the dance for that. Yeah, that could be a lot of fun if you want to sit down and play with your kids, or as Sanguine Hayes mentioned, if you wanted to do this in like a classroom setting, I think that could be a lot of fun. I'm even thinking it would be a lot of fun if there were a way to, because there are like life-size versions of other board games. I'm thinking like Cheap Ass Games used to do a life-size version of one of their games called Kill Dr. Lucky, in which case it's sort of like Clue before the body drops. You were stalking the rich Dr. Lucky throughout the mansion, but they made like rules for a life-size version of that where you can sort of lay out the mansion using tape on the floor, and then you are your piece, and so you roll and you encounter things as you go through, and you play the game that way. This could be something like that. I think really you could expand this into and make it like a very active thing to play with school children, or like your Cub Scout troop, or that sort of thing. Be a fun game to play with them, and just a fun physical activity. But anyway, all right. Well, I definitely need to go further afield because I'm not going to get a lot of pollen if I just keep doing these short little trips. So it doesn't have like really rules in here for this. I'm assuming that if, like, you know, the friend that I encounter in the square is really only going to know about the one source of flowers. It's not like the garter snake that I spoke to before is keeping like a map or a list of flowers out there. So he probably knew about like the one spot and that was it. So I'm going to assume that if I fly through the space again, I'm not going to roll to encounter, but I'm going to roll into this space here. And because it's a blank space, we're going to roll to see what terrain type it is. 5. That is a hill. Okay. So I'll move my little guy out of the way for a second. And we will put in some we'll add some extra hills there, just to vary it a little from the initial one. And hills, now that I've flown into that space, hills don't have any animals to encounter, like any animal friends to encounter. So I am going to, I mean, I know that there are flowers here and flowers there, but I'm going to find new flowers. So I'm just going to keep going in a straight line. And let's see what we find. 2 trees. All right. So and once again, we'll give them little trunks. Trees do have wild animals present, so let's say in this case that it's like a wise old owl, just for funsies, and let's see if they can give me 1. We haven't rolled that before. On a 1 or a 2, a tame creature will ignore you or claim to be too busy to talk. Oh, that's rude. A wild creature will try to eat you. Okay, so maybe I shouldn't have picked an owl. If a creature tries to eat you, you must avoid the hex where they live in future and leave it out of your dances when directing other bees. You can only travel through it when you are traveling back to the hive with pollen. Okay. Well, that's not very nice, Mr. Owl. We're just going to, I don't know if you're supposed to, but I'm just going to put a big D on that for danger. So that is a danger hex. Note to self, owls will try and eat bees. I don't know if they actually will, but I have no reason to believe that they wouldn't. So we're going to continue exploring. So we're going to go to this next hex here. And 5, which is more hills, I believe. Yep. We'll keep this simple. This is just going to be like just one big hill. There we go. And there are no animals in hill hex, so let's fill in some space. Let's go here. Getting dangerous, well, that's not really an edge because I can move the map or move the pad of paper, but 1 water. Okay. Let's just say This is like a river of some kind. There's like a little stream. And yeah, there is there are wild animals next to the stream, so let's roll for that. How do they react to me? Hopefully nothing tries to eat me. Actually, so wild animals, what do I want for wild animals? It's a stream. So maybe there's like, oh, maybe there's like a dragonfly or yeah, there's a dragonfly. 5, and it's a helpful dragonfly because it's going to direct me to flowers. So I'm going to go here because I want to get further away and see how many I can actually get this time. And that is going to be farm. Farmland. I mean, I guess it makes sense that there's like flowers on farmland. I do sort of like the idea that my bee is like, how will I ever find flowers out there without realizing that he's actually surrounded by like all of these farms are like floral farms. They're like tulip farms or like rose farms. But I go there and I boot it back to the hive because I need. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 spaces back. And then I do my little dance. So I roll a d6 to see how much pollen I bring back this time. Even if I roll a 1, I'm bringing back a lot more pollen than I brought before. So 2. Okay, well, I've improved a little bit. Obviously, I've gotten more fit after my encounter with the owl that almost tried to eat me. So 2 plus 6 is 8. So 1, 2, 6, 7, 8. That's how much pollen I bring back. And then I do my little dance on the dance floor. And only 2 bees see my dance this time. After all that work, no one appreciates my art. But I do. Oh, okay. I have to actually do my little dance, and I have to skirt people around. Oh no! I have to skirt people around that. This is important to note too. You may have thought, well, why didn't you count? Like, why didn't you roll to explore these 2 blank hexes? And the reason is it says when you're coming back to the hive with pollen and you're going in a straight line, you don't. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. You don't roll to explore these hexes when you're coming back with pollen because you were so focused on getting pollen back to the hive, you were just going in a straight line and not paying attention to anything around you. The problem that creates is that because there's danger in this hex, I have to direct the bees around it. And unfortunately, the way that I did this, I have no way to direct them around the danger. Which is very, very disheartening. And I don't know what I'm supposed to do in that. Like, do I default and send them to like another flower source as sort of a It doesn't say in the rules. So you know what? I'm going to say that, like, the goal is always to get bees out to get pollen. That is our whole purpose for being worker bees. So I'm just going to make the on-the-fly ruling. Get it? Because bees fly. I'm going to make the on-the-fly ruling that if you, for some reason, can't send them back to the source that you just came from, that you instead send them to like another safe source and tell them to get. And that's sort of your penalty, is that you don't have the same distance that you would have if you were, right? So sadly, like, if I was able to direct them back to that source, I would be able to get like 12 more pollen squares filled in. Unfortunately, it's just 2 times 2 is 4, because I'm going to send them to like, and all of them are like 2 hexes away. So yeah, it's going to fill in 4. Because I can't send my bees into danger. You can fly through a danger hex to get like back to the hive to drop off pollen, but I can't direct bees to go through there, and I've sort of left myself like I don't know. In my little dance, I would have no idea how to like send them through these spaces because I don't know what's there. So. I mean, I would basically like end up dancing them off the edge of the map, so to speak. So, I am then going to, realizing the error of my ways, now I'm going to go explore these 2. So, so I leave, I'm going to go through there, wave to my little, what did I say was there? Garter snake. It's an orchard. Yeah, wave to my little garter snake friend through the hills and then into this hex. Let's see what's in that hex. More hills. Well, I mean, yeah, that makes sense. And fill that in. And hills don't have any little animal friends, so we basically just fly through there. And then I'm going to go to this hex. And what are we? More hills. Okay. But now I have a path that I can send my fellow bees along. So if I'm there, I'm actually going to go here and get more pollen, because now I can make this work. Like, I know where there are flowers. Oh, can you go back to a square that has flowers? Or do you... No, the rules seem to imply that you can't just go back to a square that had flowers on it before. So I have collected all the pollen I can do from there. So let's move myself back. I was here. Let's just keep exploring then. I'm going to go here. And that is more farmland. But there are tame animals that I can encounter on the farmland. So, I'm going to play it for like another 15 minutes. Well, actually, probably for like another 5 or 10, and then we'll wrap up for the night. But let's see if I can get let's see if I can fill in at least one more row of 10 before we knock off. And then let's see what the one. Well, the good news is because there are tame animals on the farm, I'm going to say this is like pasture land. And so it's just a herd of cattle. And I fly up and I'm like buzzing around and being like, hey friends, like tell me. And basically I'm having to dodge like cow tails as they try and flick me away. They basically ignore me and don't tell me anything, which is frankly very rude because I'm being very friendly. Anyway. So I'm going to go here and explore some more. 6 flat. And there are no animals here, so yeah, I think this is just like pasture that hasn't been turned into like just hasn't been turned into like any farmland yet. It's the land that they're lying fallow since it's sitting between 2 pieces of farmland. So let's explore the next one. And hills. Well, I mean, I wanted to get further away. Okay, let's go there. All right, farm. Okay. All right. Yeah. And now, if you're watching me play this right now, you can, it might seem like I'm going through this very quickly and that there is a lot of repetition. But keep in mind that I'm sort of skipping over like the journaling part of it. There is a journaling component that you can add in here where you write, so for instance, I could write like a little journal entry about my garter snake friend. Or I could write like a little entry about my encounter with a dangerous owl. So there is like a journaling component that you can add in here if you're playing this on your own. That is, I think would be a lot of fun. But for the purposes of demoing the game for all of you, I am just sort of like playing through and talking out loud about what I'm doing as opposed to writing stuff down. So. Yeah, I mean, they're cows. What do you want? And so more farmland. Let's see how they react. Ooh, 6. Okay, so these are more cows, but these are more friendly cows. And they direct me to a square that's going to have flowers in it. So let's say, yeah, I want to be far away. So let's go here. What is in that square is going to be more farm. Surprise, surprise. Yeah, I think we're going to go with my personal headcanon in that my lucky little bee is just surrounded on all sides by like wildflower farms. And tulip farms and like all that sort of stuff. And just, a more experienced bee would know what's going on. He's just super excited that he's finding all of these flower sources. So, having found flowers, I'm going to go back to the hive. So this is going to be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, that's going to be sweet. So 9 plus Oh, 6. So 15. So I bring back 15 pollen all on my own this time. But now comes the exciting part, because I have to do my little dance and communicate to my fellow bees what is going on. And what I mentioned before about if you have small children and you wanted to like play this with them, right? This is the yes, remembering the little dance moves. That dance might be short and sweet when they're like getting flowers from here. But even though you get like a huge amount of pollen from sending bees over there, first they have to do the dance that gets all of their bees there. So first, how many bees do I send? Just one. So that is going to be wing waggle, roll, wing waggle, butt wiggle, wing waggle. Yes. Excellent. I'm glad to hear it. I never for a second did I think that I was coming up with an original idea by having the children act this out, but it is good to hear that it works in the field. I can only imagine if you had a Cub Scout troop, or a brownie troop, or a classroom full of kids. It would be an absolute blast to play a life-size version of this and have them running out to find flowers and then coming back and having to do their little dance. Anyway, so only one bee saw that, unfortunately, but they did safely go and get pollen and come back. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9. Yeah, I mean, look, if I had the space and had a better 2-camera setup where I could actually sort of properly split screen, I would do that. But one of my cameras is on my laptop, so not really set up to do that. But yeah. And that is, I think that's where I'm going to wrap it up for the evening. But that is Bumbling. It's just a super fun, simple, mapping game that is 100% I'm going to play this again. You can get this in the, as I said before, the solo but not alone 4 bundle. That's the link to that. There's only a few hours left on that bundle, so if you haven't picked it up yet, please go and do that now. You will get Bumbling as well as 123 other excellent games. And thank you both. I'm glad you appreciated it. And 123 other games besides Bumbling in that bundle, plus a spreadsheet to help you make sense of everything that's in the bundle, which is, I honestly think more bundle creators should be doing that, especially when their bundles are above 100 games, because it makes the bundle so much more easily accessible and useful. But I have been Brent, Dorkler Canada. You can find my stuff on my website primarily, and it'll have links to basically everywhere else I am. But also, if you go on to pretty much any social media and just search Dorkler Canada, you can find me there. If you are so inclined and want to make someone did donate and I totally missed it. I am so very sorry. I'm just going to wait for it to come back, So I'm just sort of seeing. It switches between top donor and most recent donor. So let me just... Oblivion Cubed, thank you so much for your donation. That is very kind of you. I appreciate it. As I said earlier, I do these streams because I love solo TTRPGs, but I'm also raising money for Extra Life, and at least for the rest of this year, I will be matching all of my the donations that I get in a 3-month span. So, and making the same size donation to the Palestine Children's Relief Fund, because they desperately need money right now, and everything I can do to help with that, I'm going to do. If you want to see me playing games with other people, next Thursday, I am running a D&D game over on at Jess the Human. That's Jess with one S, Jes the Human. You can find them on Twitter and then find all the information about those there. But I will be running a D&D game, Oops, All Mimics, in which all of the characters, all of the players are playing mimics, which is going to be a lot of fun. And that one is going to be directly raising money for Palestine Children's Relief. So if you wanted to make a direct donation, you can come there. There's also some fantastic prizes. And my session is at the end of a week of charity sessions that Jess has organized. So I'll be sort of like, we'll be batting cleanup. But if you do come for our stream and make donations during our stream, we have a matching. One of the companies, a company that has published a book called the Mimicnomicon, is matching donations up to $500. So if you're one of the first $500 donated during my stream, that'll be matched. So you're basically doubling. It's doubling what you are putting in. So if you want to wait and come in and donate, then please do. Your donations allow you to affect what happens in the game, and it also enters you into some fantastic prize draws, like from companies like Die Hard Dice. Have put up some very beautiful metallic dice sets, things like that. But you can, if you go to I'll actually put it in at Jess the Human. There we go. Type that into Twitter, follow them, and you will get all of the information about those streams. Yeah, otherwise, I think that's where I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming out to watch me play Bumbling by Yvris Burke. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your Friday, or whatever day it is where you are.